So I've had the iPhone 17 Pro since the very launch day that it came out. Same with the iPhone Air. Although I did have the Sky Blue when we first began, I want to give you my long-term honest review of these phones. We're like at 8 months already with these devices. We're getting pretty darn close to 9 months and also getting very close to the upcoming 18 Pro. Let's start with the weight difference in feel and hand. This is like the thing you feel every day. I mean, you hold the phone all the time. A lot of people are going to just use cases on both of these because they're premium devices. But at the same time, let me tell you which one I would rather use without a case. That's going to be the iPhone Air. The reason why is because the edges, if you get a closer look at the edges, it is polished. It's titanium, but it's something about this polished feel. It just feels grippier to hold than the iPhone 17 Pro. So if you're like that type of person who tends to be a little bit more clumsy, your phone kind of slips out of your hand a lot, I think it will less likely slip out of your hands on the iPhone Air. This thing just is a little bit grippier on the edges and doesn't really feel like it would fall. Another thing is that the iPhone Air's titanium on the edges does give it a little bit more of a durable material. It is prone to little scratches around this polished edge, and it will be more noticeable likely on this darker color if you do scratch the edges. And it's still susceptible to that same thing the older Maxes had, where you get fingerprints all over the edge of the phone. But months later, I gotta say, it just feels very grippy and lightweight at the same time. It's actually so light, in fact, that I had those phantom checks in my pocket where you're like checking for stuff and you don't even, it feels like it's not there, but it is there. Now, the iPhone 17 Pro feels really good in the hand without a case as well because of its smooth corners. However, I have had this thing slip out of the hand quite a few times. It luckily didn't hit the ground, but definitely it was close calls. Like, like one of those right there. So definitely the smooth edges come at that cost. They are slipperier. This two-tone design though definitely looks pretty fresh, but at the same time, this has this weight of kind of like a little portable battery pack, if I'm being honest. It has like a little heft to it. It's something that the Pro has always had and it retains it here. At the same time, the iPhone 17 Pro would probably be the pick, I would say. It looks good with the two-tone, but at the same time, the Air is going to be the pick for, the overall just kind of like real world weight and feel and holding it without a case. I would probably recommend this one with a case as well because the edge of this phone, while they are solid aluminum right here, if you do hit the corners or whatever, it's denting, hands down. Just like any other aluminum product is pretty much denting out there. Now, long-term durability also, I think that I would probably say the Air is better on the sides. And this is the ironic thing about the Air being such a thin phone. You would think this one was going to be the less durable, but that's not really the case because the titanium metal right here is definitely very good. The phone itself seems to hold up very well, and it doesn't really have any bend or anything like that. Even though it's super thin, it's extremely solid product right here. The only con I have with the Air is I do find that camera sticks off the edge a little bit close for comfort. So this is one of the main reasons I was using a bumper occasionally on this phone. If you throw this thing on the table, you slam the phone down, whatever, it's sitting right up on that plateau up there. It even creates a little bit of a rock over here. So long term, if you're going to be using this for a very long time, I would probably find something to cover this camera or maybe a bumper. Not so much to protect the metal because it's pretty strong, but like just to cover that camera from slamming on the table when you throw it down or whatever like that. Now the 17 Pro is very, very solid. Its camera bump also sticks off the edge. Definitely a thicker phone right here. Still, again, susceptible to the denting problem. The silver is not really painted. It's just like the solid silver. So it's going to probably be the best classic color for the long time usage of this phone. But I just, because I dropped my 17 Pro Max and got some dents, almost dropped this one as well. They just have this slipperier feel, and it's just not my favorite for not recommending without a case. So that's just the whole overall long-term durability and experience I've had with both of these side by side. Moving on to thermal management though, the iPhone Air got really toasty during setup, especially up by the plateau, which most of the components are housed in. But this phone, it just doesn't disperse heat as well. We have titanium. We already know that it doesn't disperse heat as well. And while it does have the 12 gigs of RAM and the very efficient A19 Pro chip, because this phone does have titanium and less room to breathe over here. This phone definitely gets warmer, so that's a little bit of a trade-off. It doesn't happen very frequently, but if you're pushing the phone a little bit harder than usual, charging it while using it, gaming, pushing it a little bit beyond just regular use, you will feel a little bit more heat on this device. It's just the name of the game here. Whereas the 17 Pro has some of the best thermal management I've ever seen on a smartphone. So incredible, actually. It stays cool to the touch even under some heavier use case scenarios. And when it does actually warm up, you will feel it, but you'll be like, that's it? Like, I'm doing all this and I'm just feeling a little bit of warmth? Excellent thermal management. And that was like the main thing they were marketing with this unibody construction here. So I would say that the 17 Pro and this long-term experience has been absolutely phenomenal. You have this phone that like is not too big, not too small, fits in the hand, smooth in the corners, but also doesn't get hot. So it's very comfortable day to day. That's an amazing thing while still having a ton of power and better sustained performance than the iPhone Air as well. So really do like that about the iPhone Pro. It's been absolutely phenomenal. So since we were talking about performance anyway, let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit more here. Both of them do have the same exact chipset, both clocked in at 4.26 gigahertz, A19 Pros, 12 gigs of RAM. The main thing different is that this phone will throttle back a little bit faster. The Air, it's very minor, but it does happen. So the Pro is just the more powerful device. It would be kind of like a MacBook Pro and then a MacBook Air over here, which has similar M5 or whatever chip, but it doesn't have as much thermal room as like a MacBook Pro. Same thing here with the phones. It's kind of like the same thing with these two on that front. That's pretty much the only thing with performance. Other than that, daily tasks, everything you're doing feels like exactly the same product, which is good, but just one's a little bit bigger. That's going to be the iPhone Air in terms of the screen size, but it's not too much. You can see if we put them side by side, it's a pretty small amount. It's not like a huge amount. You will see taller screen, but sometimes I think like, do we really need that extra space? Because it's so close, but it just adds a little bit more awkward feel to hold. But some people are going to say, yes, of course, less money, $100 less, and I'm going to get a bigger screen. Of course, that's a better deal. For some, that's going to be the case. And that's why we're going to move on to talking about displays right here. So what I appreciate about the Pro long term is, again, that balanced size between a really nice size, super thin bezels here, very bright, very sharp, but also just easy to one hand and kind of navigate iOS with this phone. It just feels very natural for the iPhone Pro as well as the base 17, just simply because the iOS doesn't really do any split screen multitasking. It just feels like you don't really need to do that on this one. But on stuff like the 6.5 and up, I do want my multitasking modes, but I don't really have too many of those. So it feels really great here for the iPhone Pro over here on the display. In terms of the actual brightness, though, they both kind of hit that same level of brightness, same pixels per inch, and both are 120 hertz ProMotion. I have found for some weird reason, though, that the iPhone Air sometimes stutters a little bit more on my display. I don't know if it's my unit, but it just kind of, for some reason, it doesn't always feel as smooth to navigate as the iPhone Pro. I don't know if it's because of its thermals or something like that, but sometimes it just chops a little bit more when I'm kind of like scrolling around. I don't know what that is. That's just what I've experienced. Some people might not have anything of an experience like that, so I'm just stating the honest take that I've had here. But one of the things about this display, though, in actual real world use, is that it's been kind of tall and wide to hold in my hand. So from top to bottom, it just feels like a reach up there. The good thing, though, is because the grip I told you about earlier is pretty strong, I don't really feel like it's a big deal to have to reach up there. I'm just saying that you do notice it. And what's weird is that because it's depth, though it's not that thick, it feels kind of like this really tall and like a little bit wide, but like not thick phone. It's an adjustment period. You got to get used to using this thing. But I think once you do, it tends to flow in daily life very nicely because it just kind of fits in things, little thin areas, thin cubbies, thin purses, thin things like that. I mean, I'm not using a purse, but I can already see where it would fit in those purses. That's why I'm explaining that. And also the phone itself does have USB-C. It crammed into this little tiny area, which is pretty cool. And then you'll see camera control is still on there, even though this phone is super thin. So the overall display experience has been absolutely superb on there. It's just the phone itself is just a little bit, got to get used to that size. It's just a little bit different, a lot like the iPhone XS Max and stuff in terms of size, but not thickness. So you'll got to have to adjust to that right there. iPhone 17 Pro, talking about the battery though. So this one is that type of phone that goes the whole day heavy, and then you wake up, you still have some battery, and you're like, I can get to afternoon maybe. That's this phone. By the time you plug it into the car charger, whatever, you're on your way to work, this one is already kind of topping up. So one of the nice things is that it charges very quickly, so that's very good for these devices here. The iPhone 17 Air, did I say 17 Air? Yes, I did. The iPhone Air over here definitely has a weaker battery. People have talked about it, and in my experience though, this is a type of phone in the real world that lasts the whole day. But I'm definitely seeing, I'm looking at the battery a little bit more, I'm seeing it dip down a little bit more, and I wouldn't say it gives battery anxiety, but it definitely gives battery awareness, meaning that you're going to become aware a little bit more that you need to watch your battery a little bit more on this phone. This is not the don't think about it, don't just leave it go type of phone. Like this one lasts a day, but you're going to be seeing lower life at the end of the day than you're going to find on the Pro Max for sure. And you're going to probably be like remembering in your brain, like, I have to charge this thing because I've been using it. It's down to like 10%. So this one, it's an everyday charge for me. This one right here, not necessarily. I can go into the next day if I wanted to on the Pro. So big difference there. If battery is your concern, you probably already knew this, but in my experience in testing these, it's pretty evident that I have to go with the iPhone 17 Pro. If you're going to pick one up now, it's this one. Now, talking about cameras, it's all down to zoom versus utility. With the iPhone 17 Pro, you get this massive zoom, and you'll get the ultra wide camera as well. You'll get a little bit more video pro features if that's what you want. I feel like a lot of people don't even use these, but you get the 4K 120, which is a big deal over here for iPhones, and you get the same front facing cameras on both, which is to say they're extremely ultra wide angle, which is really awesome, and they've been phenomenal. Over here on the Air though, you get this very nice single camera. Some people don't really love the fact that it has that, so we will be seeing probably a dual camera in the next setup. Personally though, I find I do miss the ultra wide, so I would like to see an ultra wide on the next one. I'm not too disturbed by the zoom. I think it's enough here, but if you want more zoom for, you know, extremely far zooming shots and you do a lot of travel, this might annoy you quite a bit. Video wise, it has most of the similar features. You just don't get the 4K 120 and stuff like that like you'll get on the Pro. So this is still going to be your standard iPhone video from the 17 series basically, but you still get that ultra wide front camera, which is pretty awesome, and the camera control once again. So this is kind of giving me iPhone XR vibes of like this era though, because of the single camera. But now that you have the Fusion where you could punch in on this 2x and the 10x zoom, you're actually getting a better deal with a single camera than you would have got with maybe even a dual camera from years ago. Maybe not, but it's kind of like an iPhone 10 like camera system where you have the 10x zoom, no ultra wide, but it's not technically a telephoto, but because of the processing, it probably can still outshine the shots you'll find on the telephoto iPhone 10. So that's pretty much that. So let's get to I want to wrap it up here on my honest review, price to value ratio. We're looking at $100 more to go to the base starting point of the iPhone 17 Pro. And at this point, we're already only about 4 months away from the iPhone 18 Pros, which are probably going to look exactly like this, but have maybe even more features for sure. It's going to probably have the same build though, maybe different colors and gear colors. But I think if you want the Pro, I would probably wait at this point. We're so close to the next Pro. But if you want the Air, I think go for it, because the Air is still a ways away. We're probably not seeing another Air edition until next year. So if you want an Air this summer, you're like, you know what? I've been eyeballing the Air. I finally think I'm gonna get one. I think you're gonna be pretty happy as long as you're okay with charging every night. That's pretty much it. Maybe even make sure you have a car charger. Make sure you have a little battery pack on your way if you're gonna be out for extended sessions. But for the Pro, unless you absolutely need the camera system this summer, or you need the extra battery, your old phone is getting kind of drained, I think it's kind of it's a wait and see for the iPhone 18 Pro at this current time. Still an excellent phone though. It's going to be going down as one of the best I think of all time in the Apple lineup, as it has a lot of the same traits the iPhone 13 Pro brought, which was great battery, great display, great build, just kind of like doesn't really have a con in most areas. Thumbs up if you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing. Subscribe if you haven't already, and check out this video right here. You might enjoy it if you enjoyed this one. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.